Hey guys, welcome back to the Atrium at GreenBayPackerNation.com. Today we're going to be talking about three things: the playoff picture, Packers' remaining schedule, and keys to the game, Packers versus Dallas. So stay tuned. This is the Atrium at GreenBayPackerNation.com. Okay, so the Packers have the Dallas Cowboys coming up. In the meantime, last night, maybe some of you guys saw, I'm sure some of you saw, the Arizona Cardinals beat the Vikings.
Yeah,
so
squeaked one out.
Yeah, squeaked one out. That ended up being a close game. The playoff picture, it's December. The playoff picture is starting to become clear. So right now, we've got Carolina is out in the lead. They have clinched their division.
Yeah.
Arizona, with that win, has clinched the playoff spot, but not their division just yet.
Right.
Right now, as it stands, Packers are on top again with the Vikings loss. So that's one good thing. If you were kind of hemming and hawing about who you wanted to win, I know, like, I couldn't root for either team, but I wanted to make sure that if the Packers had another rough skid, that the Vikings didn't end up taking the North. That was my main concern last night. But then you see Arizona win, and you're like, geez, Packers sure could use that bye, and you only get that with that second seed.
Right. Yeah.
So
the bye is nice, but we all know from the 2010 playoff that the bye isn't necessary. And quite honestly, the way the Packers have been playing on offense, the opportunity to get another game in against a quality opponent and really show that they can play at that caliber again, it to me would say more about their ability to make it deep into the playoffs. Right now, that's a question mark in my mind, how deep they could make it into the playoffs if they make it.
Right. And with a young wide receiver core that hasn't hit its stride yet, it's like you say, these basically, at least you can look at the bright side and say these are extra reps for these guys. Again, you still have the risk. We have the risk of losing that game. If you have to play that game, you lose it, it's the playoffs, you're done.
Right.
So there's the risk of that. There's the risk of injury again. Look how we've missed Ty Montgomery for umpteen since the bye week now.
Right.
And although we're hoping to get him back, he's practicing
Sounds
again,
good.
so that's good. But yeah, so it looks like right now the NFC North, that's us, if the season ended today, would be sending two to the playoffs. Vikings would be a wild card team, and the NFC West would also be sending two because Arizona's got that 2 seed. And the Seattle Seahawks are on the board there as well.
Right.
So, that's fair to me. The way Seattle's playing, they're a scary team right now.
Yeah.
Which
Seattle has really kind of come on as the season has progressed. They were not doing well, which was a thrill for me.
Oh yeah,
early
I'd love
on,
to see that.
But they weren't doing well, and they've really kicked it up a notch.
Maybe it's Marshawn Lynch being gone. I don't know. But
Maybe.
So here's the big bugaboo about the playoff picture right now. And we're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys in just a minute. They're coming to town.
Right.
They have, I'm just going to mention, they have 4 wins.
Yeah.
And they are playing for a playoff spot in week 13.
Yeah.
The rest of the division of the NFC East is deadlocked at 5-7.
Right.
So, number one, the Cowboys have something to play for in this game we're going to talk about. But
yeah, they do.
What is it with this losing record? I said this I was doing the Out of Breath Armstrong Packer Minute the other day, and I mentioned this. This is maybe the second time this happened. We're a team with a losing record because they win their division, goes to the playoffs. I think if you don't break 500, they should pick somebody else. They should just go with the next best record. It's just
I don't know if they're going to revisit that, but with back-to-back seasons where it's happened. I mean, last year it was the Carolina Panthers doing the same thing in a terrible NFC South,
right?
And getting a playoff win. Now, to their credit, they won their first playoff game, so they proved that they belonged there.
Right. But here's the thing, it is a game. We saw Green Bay last year, the better team on the field against Seattle, still lose that game.
Right.
So yeah, there are going to be instances where a team but the Washington Redskins, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's a sad picture in that regard as of right now. So I mean, you're gonna tell me that the Redskins, the Giants, I mean, these guys are terrible. Not only that, but what if the Cowboys
Right, and it's a different story if you're in a division where the records aren't really stellar, but you're basically in a knockout division where you're losing to each other, where you're splitting with each team.
Black and blue division, like
exactly.
They used to call us, yeah.
Yeah, that's different, but this is not that same situation.
No, it's not, yeah. I don't think anything's going to be done. I'm not trying to start that discussion necessarily either. Just highlighting that it's and it matters to us because we've got an NFC East team coming to Lambeau Field on Sunday afternoon.
Because they still have something to play for.
Yep, they sure do.
Yep.
So anyway, with December football, the playoff picture is shaping up. We've got 2 that are in the books that are going to make it. However, the Cardinals, we still mathematically can nab that 2 seed.
Absolutely.
It's possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, and especially with the Cardinals on the Packers' schedule, where a tie record could go to us. So it's going to be interesting going forward.
Right.
It's going to be one heck of a December, but. All right. Well, I guess that pretty much takes care of that for right now. We're not going to bother with the AFC right now. It's a different deal. But that's the playoff picture as it stands. Mm-hmm. Okay, JR, let's talk about the remaining schedule that the Packers have. It's not an easy road. Cowboys are coming to town. They're looking to get themselves back in the playoff picture. Even without Tony Romo, they're in the picture because they're in the East. Then we got the Raiders, which are they're not a laugh about team anymore.
Not anymore.
Charles Woodson again. How does this guy? He's like the ageless wonder, still doing it.
Love that guy
at the safety position. Yeah, great guy.
Just hope he doesn't do anything against us.
No, we will hope he gets nothing, absolutely nothing. Then we get the Cardinals, and we got to play that one away.
Yeah.
And we come back home to play the Vikings to close out the season. It's the fourth quarter. It's December at Lambeau. What are your predictions on this last quarter?
Well, I feel real good about the Dallas game. Number one, they're coming to our field, and
although we've lost 2 in a row.
Yeah, I get that, but they have a pretty poor record, and so I'm gonna say we're gonna beat the Dallas Cowboys at Lambeau. You're right. Oakland is not the same team that we used to. It was just like almost a guaranteed win when you played Oakland. Yeah. That's not true anymore.
Not the case.
No. But I still think we pull off a win against Oakland. I'm really uncomfortable about the trip to Arizona. I hate to call losses of any sort for the Packers, but I think that's a loss. I don't think our offense is going to outshoot them, and I'm not sure our defense is as solid as they've been. I'm not sure our defense can slow them down enough. And then the game against Minnesota, I think that's going to largely depend on how Minnesota does in the fourth quarter of the season. But I think we pull off a win at Lambeau.
Okay, yeah. It's so hard. Like, I started even kind of doing this backwards thing and predicting losses because the only time that we finally won was when I predicted a loss.
Yeah.
And we finally played the way I thought we would be playing the whole season. Rodgers has yet to get in sync. Predicting this team is a real difficult thing because they could turn it on like that.
Yeah.
I think they turn it on this week. So I've got a win against the Cowboys. I'm not in any way. Nobody get in the comments and say you got to take every opponent seriously. I'm not taking the Cowboys seriously.
Right.
The Packers are not taking the Cowboys seriously. I just don't think they have enough. They've still got Des Bryant, Jason Witten. Our defense is playing well. We've had a few extra days to get healthier. As of yesterday, all of the linemen had practiced for 2 days in a row except for Corey Linsley. So I don't know if Linsley's going to be able to go, but we'll have a much healthier. Look what we had to do against Detroit. I mean, that was just craziness.
Right. And I'll have something to say about that in the game preview.
Yeah. I don't think the Cowboys have enough.
I don't think so either.
Right. And you want to balance that with the fact that we have showed there are times when we can go without scoring for way, way too long. But I don't think this is the day. I don't think Sunday is the day that that's going to happen. So I got to win against the Cowboys. Raiders, I think that's going to be a hard-fought game. I've got the Packers winning that one. The Cardinals game, I've since the beginning of the season have had that one sort of circled as just as a bugaboo for us. At the time, I didn't think we were going to have losses on the board to both the Lions and the Bears at the time. That would, make the playoff picture that crazy for us. Mm-hmm. I didn't expect the Panthers to be, 12-0 either. No. So I wasn't as concerned. I still thought we would be playing for a bye, and we are possibly still in the running for that bye. But I watched the game against the Vikings. Vikings had every opportunity and should have tied that game and gone into overtime. It should have been that way. They ran Adrian Peterson, and I called this before. I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit because Adrian Peterson had like 18 yards the game before, and I said they are going to feed Adrian the rock. He was calling out the coaches. He was calling out it was ugly actually, But I figured they're gonna pound the rock, and they did. And they gave the Cardinals everything they could handle. I think our defense is better, and I think we're going to start feeding. I'll mention this in my keys to the game. I think we're going to feed the rock, and I'm going to say we win that game, which means I believe we beat the Vikings, and that's a run-the-table scenario. And I almost hate to even say it because I know it sounds ridiculous to some extent, especially the way the Cardinals have been playing, but I believe they dropped like 2 in a row just before this, came back, and it was everything they could do to beat the Vikings. That, coupled with the fact, this is my belief, that I think the Packers get it together this week. I think the offense gets in sync. So with that in mind, and I think probably a lot of people out there would agree that if this receiver core gets in sync, starts catching the ball, we really get going in the running game, we have a chance against anybody at this point. And the Arizona Cardinals are much less scary in that scenario. The scary part is that we haven't done that yet this season. Right. So that's what I've got. So you've got a loss to the Cardinals.
Yeah, I've got a 3-win,
3-1 loss. And I'd be happy with that. I would be very happy with that because, you look at Dallas and Raiders. These are teams that we cannot afford to overlook. We cannot afford to get into a rut, or we could drop one of those. I would be happy to go 3-1. I'm going to say 4-0.
And I'm going to hope you're right.
I know. Anytime you predict, it's like you don't even want to say it out loud because everybody, I hope, knows that we certainly hope that we're going to win all of those games, obviously. Mm-hmm. So then, judging by your prediction, you think the Cardinals are the most dangerous team we've got moving forward, right?
I would say yes, with one caveat. If the final game of the season comes down to a win and win the division, then I could see the Vikings game being the more dangerous one for us. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to say the Cardinals because that's the game that I looked at. I saw that from the beginning. We've talked about it. We were talking about it during the draft when Jeff and Devin were here. Yeah. Jonah, it was kind of like, watch that game. We're not going to be at Lambeau. And even firing on all cylinders, we thought that those guys were going to play us tough. You've got to give those guys credit. They're playing. They've got, really Carson Palmer is playing lights out. So, yeah, definitely going to be a tough game. So that's the schedule moving forward. It's December, fourth quarter. There is no time to lose. The Packers have to get their offense rolling right now. Okay, well, as we mentioned before, the Cowboys come to town with the playoffs on their mind. A 4-win team with the playoffs on their mind.
Right.
That's the reality of it. It's what the Packers have to deal with. This is a team that's they're going to have all the fight in them. This is, they've lost Tony Romo. It's a team that's kind of banged up a little bit. But they're going to bring everything they've got for their chance to go to the playoffs. This is Rod Marinelli's defense. That's a very disciplined defense. If you look at statistically, they're a middle-of-the-road defense. But you ask the players, and they're like, these guys don't make mistakes, I think, is what basically they do. But I'm not going to go into it too much. I want to know what are your keys to the game?
Well, especially watching the last game that Dallas played and how aggressive they were on defense, and couple that with how much success we've had in the screen game. If we can pull some well-disguised screens and at the right time, we could chew up a lot of yardage with James Starks or even Eddie Lacy. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen Crockett do a lot of pass catching, but Crockett could
sure
be in the mix there. I just think anything with a running back over the aggressive line and get them out in space,
chill that right out.
It would slow them down and make them start paying attention to us. So that's one of my big keys to the game, is slowing down that aggressive blitzing defense. For starters, we don't want Aaron on his back. Mm-hmm. And so if we can do some short passes like that, mm-hmm. that'll keep them honest and keep the ball moving downfield, and keep Aaron out of a position where he maybe threatened a little bit. That, I think, is one of my keys to the game.
Mm-hmm. I've got feed the rock to Eddie Lacy. I don't agree. Like we were talking, we're not even sure who really is going to be the starter at this point.
Right.
I'm going to expect that the Packers put Eddie Lacy out there early and often if he's not starting. With the talk that he and McCarthy had, it sounds like they really cleared the air. I was happy to see that and to find out that, there's a lot of speculation. What was Lacy really up to? What was going on? It sounds like he just lost track of time. That's what McCarthy said. He lost track of time. He was in the hotel, and he didn't make it in time. Regardless of what was going on, I feel like the team just moved beyond it. They saw it for what it was and didn't let it get out of hand. For a while there, it was sounding like, it might get out of hand. What I expect McCarthy to do is to say, we're going to feed you this rock. I want to see what you can do. And I would not be surprised. I've got Eddie Lacy. Well, it's Prediction Friday when we're recording this. You're probably seeing it on Saturday. But I'm going to say Eddie Lacy gets 100 yards in this game, or very close to it again.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and it's going to be incredibly... Of course, we know it's December football at Lambeau. Pounding the rock is very important. Mm-hmm. But it's not like the reason that December it's so important to pound the rock in December at Lambeau is because of field conditions. Yeah.
Right.
There are no... It's going to be T-shirt weather.
Right.
And even then, we were this past week, we were talking about how even then the field is maintained so well, and technology basically takes a lot more of that out. It's more of sort of a wilting thing for a team to have to deal with the really serious cold that it gets in Green Bay. But at any rate, I think that this team is going to hand off to Eddie Lacy. I think Eddie Lacy, we're going to see the Hulk come out again. Mm-hmm. If we do that, then the passing game it can't do anything but wonders for our passing game at this point. And so I would expect that this is the reason that I think that this is the game that we get it done. We finally put together 4 quarters of football. Mm-hmm. We've had issues with the running game, with who's going to be our running back. I feel like those are going to be solved. I feel like that's been put behind us. This is the game where we can show, Eddie Lacy, and it's going to be a combination of guys.
Yeah.
Can show that the running game is back, but go ahead.
Well, one of the keys, I think, to the running game is Corey Linsley was the only lineman that didn't practice today.
Yesterday it was. I haven't had a chance to check today, but yeah. I don't think he's going to be able to.
But at any rate, it seemed like when Treader replaced him, he had one gaffe early on, but I think overall we started doing better, especially in the run game.
Yeah, he played a good game.
I think Corey Linsley does a good job of pass protection, but maybe doesn't have the edge on Treader in run blocking. So I really see that as a in the mix as far as whether the run game will get on the roll and start moving downfield. So that's something I'm going to be watching in this game.
I would like to see more of a power run style in this particular game. I think I'd like to see John Poon out there with his lead blocking ability.
Inverted wishbone.
Yeah. I haven't seen that in a while. I would like to see that. But mostly, I just think the Packers, like I said, they've gotten past, I think, the running back issue in terms of off-field anything.
Right.
We know that it's been a focus because they're all talking. Aaron Rodgers is talking about we've done some good things, but we just haven't. What he said is, we've played some really good halves of football, and I love that he's being honest about that. Yeah. He's not shying away from it. It's not acceptable to him. I think we're very fortunate to have Aaron Rodgers on our team right now because he is not going to panic. he has gone in and all he does is just work harder and try to be more prepared, and he's leading by example in that regard. I think this team is going to come prepared this time. They've had a few extra days. They were able to start early on the game plan against the Cowboys, and I think that that's going to bode well. You know, the obvious question after that, though, is can we get it done against, you know, a really, really stellar team?
Right.
And again, I'm not going to try to look ahead too far, but you know, and I'm not knocking the Cowboys either, because again, we've said these guys are going to come to play. They are going to bring it without a doubt. But that question will remain. But I think for this game, I really feel like the opportunity is there for the offense. So, you know, my key is pound the rock, and let everything open up from there. Several weeks ago, we had talked about how, you know, this team is a pass first. We pass to make the run successful. We need to flip flop that for a little bit. Till we get our wide receiver core going, we might need to turn that upside down. December at Lambeau, I think that's the time to do it.
I agree.
Well, what are your keys to the game? You can mention them in the comments below. If you're watching this on YouTube, just jump right down. If you caught this at the website, you can comment below as well. Check us out at greenbaypackernation.com, facebook.com/greenbaypackernation. And check out our YouTube channel. If you like this, subscribe. We'd really appreciate you watching. We'd love it if you subscribe. That'd be great. And hopefully, next time around, we'll be talking about a big Packer win against the Cowboys. Hopefully, we will be talking about an offense that finally got insane. So that'll do it for us for today. We hope you have a fantastic weekend. And we'll catch up with you next time at the Atrium on greenbaypackernation.com.